Okay, hang on.
We are live now.
Hang on, I'm just here we go. Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to Connecting Our Continent with me, Loretta Sernowski from Remax Costa del Mar, and Ricardo Borges, my co-host. Ricardo, how are you today?
I am very good. Happy to be back after a couple of weeks absent. Ready to rock.
You were busy at work, I assume?
Yes, I have been crazy busy, but I'm really glad and happy to be here today. Great topic.
Yeah, well, Ricardo needs to chill out and relax. So we brought the perfect solution to what he should be trying right in our awesome city. Today we have Fernando, who is the face of the Tequila Factory. And if you haven't been to the Tequila Factory, you are missing out. Fernando, how are you today?
Doing great, hanging out, waiting for folks to show up.
Welcome, Fernando.
Hey, what's up, Ricardo? How are you?
You are very, I guess, infamous in the city. People know who you are because of your vibrant personality and your sense of humor. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into the Tequila Factory?
Well, I've been in Rocky Point since the 80s. Actually, the early 80s is the first time I visited Rocky Point. I've always been in love with Rocky Point. I've always loved Rocky Point. I guess in the 80s, I was still a kid, almost a teenager, and ended up going back to California. We moved back. My parents moved back to California. So, I followed them along. And in 2006, I decided that I would move back and that I would give it a try. And I got to tell you that Puerto Peñasco, aka Rocky Point, has been excellent to me. Everybody here has been good to me. The locals, the tourists, everybody has been great to me. I can't not complain about anything. It's just wonderful here. I love it.
And how did you get into knowing about tequila? Did you learn that, or where did that all come from?
Well, I've always loved tequila and I always loved drinking tequila ever since I was a kid. I got to tell you that. My dad drank tequila. My uncles drank tequila. Everybody drank tequila. So I'm familiar with tequila. But it wasn't until I met Mr. Manny, the owner of the Tequila Factory, the owner of Manny's Beach Club, that he had an idea, and the idea was to open up this Tequila Factory store where he would let people come in and sample his tequila, his own personal tequila, his own personal label, Manny's Beach Club label, which his label. What does he do? He gets his own label in the mid '90s, so that's when he initiates his label. But it's not. It's only sold at Manny's Beach Club. You can't buy a bottle of tequila at Manny's Beach Club because it's a bar. So he opens up this little liquor store, or not even little, but this liquor store called the Tequila Factory. And when he has his idea, I'm already working for him. So he he throws me in here, and I knew a little bit about tequila. I knew enough, but the questions from the people, just everybody just being so hungry on wanting to know the culture, where it came from, all the stories. And so I started just reading up on tequila. I started reading up on all the stories and putting it together, and just the different types of tequila. I mean, the different type, whether it's the blanco, the reposado, the añejo, the extra añejo, and what all that meant. I became passionate, and
Why don't
so
you guide us through the origins and all that culture, with everything that you're just describing?
the origin. Yeah, I mean, you're talking the Aztec times, bro.
Am
you
I?
know, the agave. Well, the agave has been in these parts of the world, I guess, forever, and the natives used the agave as a sugar source, and so it evolves into a fermentation. They start fermenting it, and basically, story has it that a lightning struck one of the agaves, and
Oh wow.
the natives, felt like it was a gift from God, and it sure is, with moderation, of course. And so,
Yeah, I hear you.
some people don't know how to moderate it, and all of a sudden they are naked. No, just joking.
And then
And that,
stop
that's one of the
being
jokes.
got him a
That's
gift
one of
of
the
God.
jokes here. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ricardo.
No, and then when you are not moderated or moderating your drinking, then it's no longer God's gift.
Yeah. Well, and you gotta think about, it was the natives who discover or who stumble into the agave, and they start, producing a fermented product. But there was no distillation. They had no idea of the distillation. It wasn't until the Spaniards, well, the Spanish, uh, come, and they come down and they bring the distillation. And for what I've read and what I know, the distillation was discovered, or whoever started distilling, the very first distillers were actually the Arabs. And so, it was brought to these parts of the world, and it was in the 1600s when the first distillery was established here in Mexico, in Jalisco. And that's when the Spanish were, I guess, exporting it all over the world, wherever it is that they were going. For what I've read and for what I've known, that's how tequila got started. Now, you know how everything goes. Everything becomes rules. Uh, the origin of tequila, we're the only ones that can produce it. What is that? What that means? We're the only ones. That Mexico is the only country, the only place that can produce tequila. Yes, you can make the actual clear liquid anywhere in the world, but you can't call it tequila unless it's produced here in Mexico.
That's what it's called, destino de origen.
Destino de origen. It's just like champagne, only produced in
France.
France, and bourbon in Kentucky. So,
Mhm.
uh, yes, definitely. And to get back a little bit to how we started, how Mr. Manny, you know, Mr. Manny, Mr. Manny has always loved tequila. I mean, and Mr. Manny's still around. He's doing good. He's healthy, and I gotta thank him for giving me the opportunity, to have, to do whatever I wanted to do here at the Tequila Factory, to be able to run the show the way I wanted it to run it. He never once said, "Hey, Fernando, don't cuss, or don't get too crazy at the store. Don't do." He always, give the people what they want. If people want to come in, and if they want to have a great time, or they want to learn, uh, teach them, and so I truly appreciate him, and his, I guess, his confianza, his trust in me. I truly appreciate that. But yes, tequila is wonderful, and tequila is wonderful here in Puerto Peñasco. People love Manny's Beach Club tequila.
I have a
Yeah.
question here from Jody Wright. She's asking, is it because the agave plant it's produced from, it's only found in Mexico? I'm not sure I understand this question. Can you
So
elaborate,
you
Jody?
got to remember, there's about 163 different type of agave species. There's agave. You can find the agave species anywhere in the northern, well, maybe not, but in the northern and the southern continent. North America, South America, you can find it. But for the most part, Mexico is where all the it's always been turned into a spirit. So what was the question again? I'm sorry. Is the blue agave only found in Mexico? No, you can plant the blue agave anywhere. I mean, you can
No,
take a little
I think
puff.
she means when you said you can only say it's tequilas because it's only from Mexico, just the same as champagne in France.
Oh
So
yes,
is that
oh
because
yes.
the agave plant is only found in Mexico?
Okay, so to answer the question, this is the thing. There's 163 different type of agave species, but for the production of tequila, we only use one, the blue agave. It's also called the Tequiliano Weber Blue Agave, and that's the only type of agave that is used. But that agave is farmed in designated areas here in Mexico. What does that mean? That means that it has to be farmed in the right altitude, the right humidity, and the minerals in the soil. Kind of like what you see here in the mural. You're looking at altitude 4 to 7,000 feet above sea level, volcanic soil. And so that has a lot to do with that. Yes, definitely.
So if I didn't know anything about tequila and I said, what's the difference between Blanco, Reposado, and Añejo? What would you say? And which
Well, I,
one would I like the most?
So usually people want to start off with probably the reposado because it's a little more subtle, it's more relaxed. Where the blanco, which is right out of the distillery, it's what we end up with. Uh, you definitely your palate has to get used to, I should say, the alcohol, the high. Remember, tequila is anywhere from 35 to 55% alcohol volume. So if you're not used to drinking hard alcohol, it's gonna have a kick.
Yeah.
But when you take a silver or a clear tequila and you let it sit in a barrel, the barrel settles it. The barrel gives it a different essence. And remember, we can do so many different things with the barrels. We can actually soak the oak in different essences, add
Mm.
different essences. You can toast, you can char. All that makes a difference as the tequila sits in the barrel and the barrel leaches into the tequila, giving a nice subtle vanilla-y, walnutty oak essence, toasty oak, charred oak, you name it. There's just uh, the barrel just opens up a variety of essences for sure.
So how come, like, I know when I moved to the States, then people, Canadians and Americans they just have tequila shots. But when I moved to Mexico, I found that it's more like, you sip it as in a nice tequila straight or on the rocks. And is there such a thing as like a tequila you use for shooting or one for sipping?
I got to tell you that you can shoot, you can sip blanco. There's blancos out there. It's like when you go to a bakery. You go to these different bakeries, they all use the same ingredients. Likewise with tequila. We all use 100% agave sugar. We all use, but when the time comes to ferment, to distill, uh, that's where it takes a turn. That's depends on the distillery, depends on what type of vase we're using, depends on the distill. Is it copper, stainless steel, or is it ceramic? All that gives it a different flavor. Kind of like when you bake bread, what kind of oven are you using, which will give
Mm.
you a different essence. But definitely I would start with the reposado and work my way up to the añejos. What's a reposado? A reposado is a tequila that sits in a barrel anywhere from 3 to 12 months. And for the most part, you're not going to find a reposado that's been aged for more than 8 or 9 months. Usually, that's a long time, but that is the time limit. No more than 12 and no less than 3 months. Where the añejo is a minimum of 18 months, of 16 months, excuse me.
So when people come to the Tequila Factory, what can they expect? How much does it cost? What happens when they go there?
Well,
Good
remember
question.
that nothing's ever free in life. You know, the idea is that you walk in, that if it's not too crazy, that you come in and that I can tell you exactly what it is you're gonna taste, exactly what it is you're gonna feel when you're drinking or when you're sipping the tequila. Uh, The expectation, what Mr. Manny expects is that you come in and that you taste and that you walk out with a couple of bottles. You know, that's the idea. The idea is that you can learn something as you're here, that you can learn a little Mexican culture. Uh, there's always questions that open up that open up conversations where I can share a few things like, yeah, it's kind of like, it's tequila mezcal, there's mezcal tequila, or uh, who started producing tequila like earlier? Was it the actual Mexicans or were the Spaniards that brought it down? So at the end of the day, depending on the attitude of the people and what, some people just come in and they want to party, they want to drink. Other people want to learn.
Sure.
So it all depends, and that's what we expect. We just, and of course, there's always some sort of a charge, either whether it's, but there is a charge all the time. Just nothing's free.
Certainly not. We
But there's,
have a few
but there's
fans
no
just cheering you up here.
there's
Excuse
no
me.
admission charge though to go in.
Well, no, you don't got to play. You don't got to pay. You don't got to pay a fee at the door. No, there's no
Yeah.
fee at the door. Yeah.
Fernando, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Have you had any experience where your clients or visitors, did not moderate, or after a few shots they became funny or something like that,
Uh, yeah.
or more than
Let, let
funny?
me let me let me just tell you that nobody ever walks out of here the same way they walked in.
Okay, that pretty much
You
answers the
know,
question.
but one thing I know is that you walk into the Tequila Factory, and when you walk out, you will be back.
Yeah. Of
Um,
course.
I gotta tell you that our return, I don't call the people that visit the Tequila Factory customers. I call them family. I call them friends. I call them nephews and nieces. I have adopted nephews and nieces like you don't even know. I have adopted brothers. I've adopted sisters, grandmas, and mothers. I mean, I don't know how many moms and grandmas I might have out there, or how many nephews. Everybody that walks in here becomes my family,
I'm glad you
and
never said
it's
children. I'm glad you never said I don't know how many kids I have out there.
well. Wait a minute. We're not going to talk about all that.
How
But
long
no,
have
I
you
only
guys
got
been open?
I got one. I got one son. His name is Fernando, and everybody has been in Tequila Factory has known Fernie, my son. I love him. He's been in the Tequila Factory. Like people have known him since he was a baby. He's never worked here, of course, but he's people know him just because sometimes he gets home from school and he'll come here, and people are like, "Who's that?" It's like, "Well, that's my son," and they kind of like, "Wow, he looks nothing like you."
So how long have you guys been operating?
Mr. Manny opens up the Tequila Factory in 2006.
Okay.
And when I
So
say he opens it up, he gives me the keys to open it up. I run it. Mr. Manny has always been in the background. And right now, he comes in, there's always a chair. You will notice when you walk into the Tequila Factory, and as you walk in on the right-hand side, and I'll show you guys. On the right-hand side, there's a chair. And so that's where Mr. Manny sits. Nobody else should or could be sitting there. But there's Mr. Manny's seat. Can you guys see that?
yeah, for sure.
Okay. So he walks in, and he's at a chair here since the beginning of time, and he's always just hung out. People walk up to him, say hi. A lot of people that come in here already know Mr. Manning. Mr. Manning has been around forever. Sometimes people ask me, how old is Mr. Manning? And I always tell them, well, yeah, probably about 150 years old. I don't really know how old he is, but that's good answer because I don't know. And I know that he's been around for a long time. Uh, and he's a very nice man. You know, he doesn't really run the Tequila Factory. His son Manny Jr. is the administrator here. So
Okay. And
mhm.
so since 2006, you've lived in Rocky Point for quite a number of years now. What have your observations been since you've been there? And has the clientele changed that's coming to the Tequila Factory? Is it more people, less people? Are people different? Is there people from further away? What have you found?
Oh God, the diversity, just the different people that walk in here. A lot of the repeat business that we get from people is amazing. One year somebody will bring a friend in or a family member, and then the next year that family member that was brought here brings another group of people, and it's growing big time. I mean, there's never a dull moment. It's always a busy day here. Even in slow season, when like low peak, we still. I mean, every other place in Rocky Point can be empty or nobody shows up, and people show up here, and it's like, where do all these people come from? And we're always busy. Thank God. I gotta say that I don't know if it's the tequila or if it's they come in here and they have a great time,
Yeah.
or it's in the hot summer days. It's nice and cool in here, and they get out of the heat. I don't know,
Or maybe
but
it's your personality.
that could
Combined
be
with a
too.
couple shots of tequila, that's a pretty good afternoon.
People like to laugh, and I don't know. Sometimes I tell them, do you guys come here to laugh at me, or what do you guys do? Because
And perhaps all of that combined with a secret technique that you might have, to produce your own tequila.
Well, you know what? Let me tell you that tequila is only produced in Jalisco, Nayarit, Guanajuato, Tamaulipas, and Michoacan. Mr. Manny, my boss, again, Mr. Manny. Mr. Manny's all over the damn place, let me tell you. But Mr. Manny partnered up with a couple of people out there in Jalisco in a little hole in the wall distillery called La Cava de los Compadres. Like I
Hmm.
said, back in the mid 90s. And so that's where the tequila is produced. We don't get our tequila from a distributor. A lot of the tequilas that you see at the stores, at the liquor stores, at the markets, at the restaurants, those tequilas are sold or are owned by distributors. Mr. Manny owns his own label, and the tequila that we sell, that Mr. Manny's tequila is brought from the actual distillery, not from a distributor. So it's always going to be the same quality. People have been coming in here and they always look for that Blanco, that sweet, earthy, herbal, grassy agave Blanco, or maybe that Reposado with hints of vanilla and toasty oak because of the type of barrels that we used, or our famous Supremo Extra Añejo, musky, buttery barrel essence tequila.
What's the age of that one?
36 months, 3 years. Remember, tequila can't be aged too long because what happens is you overwhelm the agave essence. So you gotta
Oh,
know what you're doing. If I try to take care of business here at H Tequila, I'll ruin things. We gotta leave the aging process to the experts.
That makes
So
sense.
we have another question here. Jody Wright says, "Do you really have tequila infused products like jam?"
oh God, yes. That's a new product that we the jam and the coffee infused. Let me tell you, when they started, Manny Jr.'s family, on his wife's side of the family, Ashley, they're from Chiapas, and so they live out in Chiapas, and they roast their own coffee beans. They grow their own coffee beans out there, and they came up with a bright idea. They would infuse the coffee beans with tequila, with the Blanco tequila. I don't know if you guys have seen our bags, and we have been selling these I've had the other day I had a lady come in and she restocked and said that the coffee, and I drink it myself. I have a couple of bags, but it's delicious. And then the jam, well, we got fig jam. Some people call it raspberry, others call it blackberry. Call it whatever you want, but it's delicious. And the jams are from the local farmlands here in Sonora. And the recipes, the people that are producing it for us, they it's a recipe over 200 years now. So
Wow.
it's delicious.
That's
Yeah,
good.
200 years, that's a long time, but that's the truth. And don't ask me what they do because I don't know. They won't give me the recipe.
Fernando, let me ask you a question about that extra añejo or any añejo. How do you recommend to take that one? Straight on the rocks or mixed? What 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 would it be the best?
All of the above. Everything you just mentioned is perfect and it's excellent. You want to drink it on the rocks? I gotta tell you that it's gonna be delicious if that's what you like. You wanna put it in a nice little sniffer and warm it up a little bit. It's perfect because the essences come out and they really get up into the nose and it really stimulates the brain. And that's what you want when you're sipping tequila, guys.
Hmm. You might have
Yeah,
to have
now
a shot
you're
before
making me
work.
want to drink a shot of tequila, bro. What's up, man? Relax, Ricardo.
Ay, ay, ay.
What is
Okay.
what's the number one uh, tequila that people buy? And I imagine that men are different than women.
Perhaps that Blanco.
So the number one seller in the Tequila Factory is the Reposado. I
Yeah.
can't keep enough of the Reposado on the shelf. The Reposado has hints of vanilla, toasty oak. Again, Mr. Manny decided that the Reposado should be aged in barrels that were smothered in vanilla extracts, guys. I don't know if Mr. Manny sleeps or he dreams about these stuff. I don't know what he does, but he comes up with ideas that I would have never thought about. Just so you guys know. But I can tell you that I do present the reposado. I love the reposado. Oops.
Too, yeah.
And there's the labels. I wanted to point something out, guys, just real quick. That all our labels have women on them. So these women represent the daughters of Mayahuel, the queen of the agave.
Wow. I did not know that.
I didn't either.
Fernando, we lost your camera. Maybe he's having a shot. Let's put it on here.
Why not?
It is definitely a great place, Reposado. Although I like the Reposado a lot too, but I really am starting to like the Añejo. So,
You know, the
Yeah,
añejo,
I like añejo.
most folks that like añejos, they like a heavy barrel essence. They prefer a heavy barrel essence. And that's what an añejo is going to give you. It's going to give you a heavy barrel essence. A lot of times, some of the añejo, some of the barrels are charred, some are lightly charred, or some are just lightly toasted. So those añejos will give you a different essence. Each barrel will pull out a different essence depending whether it was charred, whether it was toasted or heavy charred. You got number one chart, number two chart, number three chart, number four chart. And so that all that right there makes each and every single tequila distinct and it gives it its own signature, guys.
how much is that
See?
bottle of Reposado? Out of curiosity.
The reposado is it's always been no more than $40, depending on the dollar exchange. We our prices are in pesos. So depending if the dollar's at 15, well, it could be up to $44. If the dollar's at 18.50 like it is right now, it's about $38.
Is there,
So
do you have a funny story from over the years that sticks in your mind about I'm sure you have lots of them, but just if you can share one with us that's not
oh
X-ray.
Lord. Well, then I'm sorry, I can't share any. No, funny, funny stories, man. Every day people walk out. I gotta tell you,
Oh, we lost him again.
Yeah.
can you guys hear me? I'm sorry.
Now we can.
You're back.
Funny stories. Wow, I'm not much of a joker. I don't know. Like when I'm funny, it comes out by itself. But funny stories are just, you know, people showing up and acting like they're real sophisticated and real, real proper. And, by the time they walk out, I got to tell you, man, they're, cheerleaders or strippers but, uh, where's the pole at? It's like, wait a minute, but there's so many funny stories. I can't think of one right now. I don't know if because I'm nervous or I'm all like in the tequila
Well, there's
mode.
probably so many, and I probably should have asked you that before. But what are your
Yeah.
hours of operation and days you are open?
So I always tell people 10-ish and 5-ish, from 10-ish till about 5-ish,
7 days a week?
7 days a week.
Oh wow.
I'm only here. I'm not here on Tuesday. So if you want to come see me, don't come on a Tuesday. And if you and if you don't want to hang out with me, then you come on a Tuesday.
That's probably there's no one there on Tuesday.
You'd be surprised.
Well, they don't know that you're not there.
Well, all the people that don't like me come on Tuesdays.
Oh, there's nobody like that, I'm sure.
Fernando, I have a question. Is there a place there where you can, sit down, sip the tequila while you're smoking, cigar, or is there a smoking area?
No, we don't have. Manny Jr. is against smoking.
Hmm.
Uh, and of course, the laws about smoking, you can get fined if you're smoking on the street. Did you know that? I don't know if you guys knew that, but uh, and just the regulation of even having a smoke area inside. Uh, I would
Yeah.
love, I would love something like that because I could sit around and talk about learn about cigars. I've read a few things about the cigars and the rolling, and that would be interesting as you're rolling and maybe cutting into a cigar and maybe dipping it into the extra añejo or maybe the reposado and taking a couple of puffs out of it. I think people would really enjoy that, and maybe in the near future. Uh,
Yeah.
it might happen. Why not?
There
But
are
you know
some
what,
rules though for that. I mean, you can have
Ricard?
your area,
You know what? Stop giving people ideas. Somebody's gonna start doing that tomorrow, bro. Relax. That's a private thing.
Uh, Fernando, thank you so much for being on the show. It was a
Oh, my
pleasure.
pleasure.
Ricardo, I'm definitely going to take you there for sure.
Absolutely,
Uh,
absolutely. I
Ric-
can't, forgive myself to have not been there prior.
Ricardo
yeah,
wants to come on
no
a
kidding,
Tuesday. I heard. Huh,
bro.
Ricardo? You want to come on a Tuesday, huh?
No, definitely
I'll
not
be there.
Tuesday, but we'll be there. Thanks again and have a
No,
great
no.
weekend. To end the show,
Say
can you tell us what your favorite toast is?
arriba, abajo, al centro, pa
Y para
dentro.
adentro.
That's a popular one.
What does that
Just
mean?
remember that. You know what that means?
No.
Arriba, abajo, al
Up,
centro, para adentro.
down, center, enter.
I love it. Okay. Everyone have a great weekend. We'll see you
Thank
next week.
you.
See you soon, Fernando.
Thank
Love
you,
you
everyone.
guys.
Gracias,
Have a great
See you
Fernando.
guys here. Adios.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.